guys, what's happening? What's going on? It's BJW, and I want to welcome you to another tutorial. He says as if it hasn't been 7 months since he did his last one, but I've been busy, and it was a really good tutorial. But anyway, here we go. Welcome to the Cow Cooker 2000. I don't know what I'm going to call this yet, but undoubtedly you've seen a number of these over the last year or two. In you know, you got your cows in here, and you hit the water source, and you get them popping up and down, and you can spam some wheat on them. And I've built a number of these in different worlds, but I've been working on some varieties of it, some different versions, and I actually have some that are much smaller than this, and one that's much larger than this. And it could definitely depend on the size of the world that you've got and how many people you've got that are using it. This one works really well in a single player world where you need a lot of food. This would provide all your food, really. Or even on a multiplayer world where you've got, I don't know, 5-7 people that are pretty regularly needing beef, but maybe it's not the only food source. You've got a chicken farm or something somewhere else. As I said, I've been working on a couple of different versions of this, and this one I'm really pretty happy with. It's a little bit of melding of the one that Tango Tech did, which was certainly an inspiration to doing a couple of different versions of this. And I'll put a link to his channel, of course, in the description, like you need it, because Tango's awesome and everybody knows who Tango Tech is. But anyway, and then just recently on the island, A-String and Queen built another one. I'm not sure which one of the two built it. I think String probably had a lot to do with the redstone. But nevertheless, I'll give them both credit and certainly give you links to their channels and to any episodes they have that may have shown them building that. But there's a little change they made in terms of how the cows were, culled, killed, taken care of, offed, all that happy jazz. And then I ended up adding some of my own stuff back into it. So this ends up being kind of a mix of all three of those. Tangos, A-String, and Queens, and ones I've been working on over the last couple of years. And so the basic idea, again, is you hit the water source in here, you spam your cows with the wheat. And part of the reason that's just too wide is it makes it a lot easier to actually spam the cows, as opposed to the one-by-ones that they're all so compact in there, and when you get 64 or something like that in there, it becomes really hard. So this one you could do 64, 128 cows. You can get a lot of them in here and still be able to have it be pretty effective. But the idea is that you spam up there, and then the calves fall down in here, and you see I've got some full-size cows in there for some previous efforts, and then the calves that just drop down in there. And so the idea is they drop down, and it might be a little hard to see because of all the cows that are in there. In fact, let's go ahead and cull them a little bit. But down here below, we've got hoppers that'll pick up the drops, and you got signs on the sides. Back there you can see a dispenser that's got lava in it, and so that creates a little lava blade that comes over, and we'll do that. There you go, and you see it's coming over here and it's getting all the big cows. And the nice thing is you can just leave it in place. You don't have to worry about it. All the drops are below, and they'll go into the hoppers, and it'll be just fine. And so you could actually leave this on after the cows have dropped down. You want to make sure you don't want to have it on as you're breeding them, because I think the lava would probably kill them, because they don't have that much health. But you turn that blade off, spam them, breed them, turn it back on again, and then walk away and come back, and it'll individually kill them all one at a time as they grow up, or you can wait until they all grow up and then kill them all at once. This sounds really morbid. But anyway, that's the basic idea, and now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through how to build a framework for this thing, and then we'll go into finishing it out and adding all the redstone. And it's actually a really simple build. It doesn't require that much in the way of resources. So let's go over, I'll show you the resources and the framework. Alright, so let's start with the building blocks we're going to need. So we need our building blocks, and we have some redstone bits that we're going to need to do this with. And then we're going to go into the framework, and then we're going to go ahead and build out completely one version of this. So you start with a couple building blocks. It's totally up to you what you want to use, but you're going to need to have at least one solid block and then one stair. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and use iron so it's clear to see, and then I'm going to use a stone stair so you can see exactly where I'm putting it. You're going to need a couple of buckets. You need a bucket of water and a bucket of lava, of course. You need some wooden trapdoors, and I will go ahead and put a complete list of all the items and the numbers that you'll need as a minimum to build it down in the description. So you'll need 4 trapdoors, 6 signs, a couple of chests, a couple of iron bars, of course, and glass and oak fence. This is 1.8. These are some of the things you could use in 1.8 if you wanted to build it. I'm not going to go into detail, but maybe I'll describe as I'm going along where those might fit in. On the redstone side, in fact, I'll leave those in here for right now. We'll come back to that because I'm going to break this into 2 parts. I'm going to do the building part first, and then we'll pause briefly and come back and do all the redstone. So, but to give you an idea, you'll need 6 droppers, or 5, depending on which version you build. You'll need 2 dispensers, a couple of buttons, 6 hoppers, and I would just do a dozen each of these of a torch, a redstone dust repeater, and a comparator. You won't need that much, but it's probably a good idea to show that. So one thing I'm going to talk about really quick is that this is in 1.9. This is 1.9 ready, and which is the whole reason I waited till 1.9 was to do this, because it would be a little different in construction in 1.8. But also I wanted to show this really quick. So this is a version that's built with a wall on one side, so you can have your buttons and your chest on that wall. And then I have another version over here that I built that's flush, and so you can see that this might happen along a path, so you can imagine a pathway coming by, and you could stop and do the same thing. You've got water and lava buttons, and you've got a storage chest and the cows. So I'll talk really briefly about that towards the end. But let's talk about the framework now and the size of this thing. So it's 7 blocks by 4 blocks on the ground, and then 6 blocks tall. And that both of these are exactly the same in that regards. This one has an additional 3 blocks going up, at least as a minimum. You could probably say 2 depending, but yeah, more or less that's the dimensions that you need to work with. All right, to start with, let's start with the base. So you can either take out the blocks below this if you wanted to, which would make it officially 7 blocks, I suppose, if you were clearing. But it's totally up to you whether or not you want to do this. It's not necessary. And then you would build a U shape on top of that, which is 5 blocks by 4, kind of on one edge. Right now we're looking at this from the back side, and this is the front side. This would be the side that you'd be coming up to spam your cows. So, and then you can go ahead and build your framework up that's 6 blocks, and then on top you'd have a pad that's 5 by 4 again, with 2 out of the center for where the cows are going to go. And then on the back side, you want to make sure and leave this 1 block completely open all the way up and down. That's where the dropper tower is going to be. And then you can start filling that in. Go ahead and leave 3 blocks on both sides open like that. And then on the end here, it's totally up to you whether or not you want to do this. You could actually do these this 4 by 2, so these 8 blocks in glass. If you wanted to have, let's say, a maintenance access down here, you could come in and take a look at the cows and make sure that they're working. This would all be below grade, probably, but totally up to you. In this case, I went ahead and filled it in with my blocks just because it makes it more clear that way. And then otherwise, it looks pretty much the same. I went ahead and filled in the rest of it. And now let's go ahead and get started on our construction. All right, to start with, let's put in our trapdoors. We're going to put 4 trapdoors on the bottom sides of these 4 blocks right there. And the reason that we're doing that is we want to close up the gap here that is 1 block. And that is what makes this work for sheep and for cows, and it keeps the adults from falling off down into the water. You'll see it a little more clearly later, but that really helps that work better. Now let's go ahead and put in our stairs. You need to put it on both sides. In the middle of this 1 by 3 opening, put them right there and leave that gap above and below. And put that one right there. We'll come back to the redstone in a second. But on this side, you can go ahead and close this one in completely. You don't need that anymore. And this one, just put in the bottom one. You need to leave that top part open. And on this back side, let's go ahead and make the space for the dispenser. So 2 blocks up, that 3rd block, go ahead and knock it out. That's where the dispenser is going to go. All right, so now let's go ahead and put in our iron bars, which are going to go between the 2 stairs. And that's why we actually have to use stairs in 1.9. In 1.8, you could use glass or other transparent blocks. These wouldn't connect to them. But in 1.9, they do connect, oddly enough. All right, now we're going to do our signs. So you're going to go up 1 block, and you're going to put 6 signs on here, 3 on both sides. You want to make sure and leave this area down below. This is where the hoppers are going to go, and then the dispenser is going to go right there. And then we can go ahead and go up if you're going to build the version that's got the wall in the back of it. Go ahead and come up a couple blocks and over a couple blocks. And what I'm going to do actually is show you another version of this slightly different as well. I'm going to go ahead and close this in. And let's get our chests here. Put it there. And then come around the back side. And so what this allows you to do is you can have just 1 chest wide. Oops. And then put your stair above it so you can open it up. And so this allows you to have 1 chest wide, and you could put your buttons here again, and you could put signs describing what they wanted to do. I like this version over here. It's just a little bit cleaner. I like being able to see the full chest, but either one of these is going to work equally well. Totally up to you. And then up here, go ahead and put a couple of iron bars up there. You can break that one out, and this is going to keep us from, falling into that hole. Of course, you're going to want to take those out when you get your cows in. But for right now, if you just want to keep yourself from falling down, that totally works. And believe it or not, with that, now we're ready to move on to the redstone. So we've got our building blocks here. We can put those back. We need to keep our buckets with us, and then we can get our redstone. So we need some dispensers, droppers, hoppers, buttons, redstone torches, redstone dust, comparators, repeaters. And let's go ahead and start with let's put the dispensers in first. So the very first one we need to put in is right here. Oh, I must have busted that out earlier. Leave that in for right now. So you put your dispenser there. You need to put another one right there. And you can go ahead and add in your water in the upper one and your lava in the lower one. Now let's go ahead and put in our droppers. And to do that, let's put our dropper down here. So you just hop up, place that dropper right there. And then you want to put your hoppers, point it into that one, and then make sure you're hitting shift, holding it down. You have to hit shift to hold it down and place that one. So do the same thing when you place this hopper there. And you want to make sure, it's a little hard to tell, but all the tails are pointing this direction. Then you want to come back here and you want to point on this end one. And you can see the tails pointing into that one. Same here. It's going in there. Then jump up on this one, hit shift, hold it down, place it there. So the idea is these are all kind of going into this chain, and then they're all heading into our dropper tower. Now to place your dropper tower going up, I probably shouldn't have placed this yet. It's actually going to be in our way. So let's go ahead and bust that chest out of the way for a second. So you want to hit shift, hold down, and then jump and place. So I'm still holding shift. I'm just jumping and placing these as I go down here. All right, in this case, I think I'm going to bust that out too so I can get up there. Because you want to have your last one pointing up right there. So let's go ahead and grab, I'm just going to grab these again really super quick and put those back. Put our chest there, our stair there, and then we can place our second chest on the back. Boom, like that. So that's not a big deal. That works just fine. All right, so we've got basically all of our droppers and dispensers in place now, and our hoppers in place. Let's go ahead and do our redstone bits now. So let's start with the tower. So you want to come off where the dropper tower is, come back one block, place another one in that corner right there, and you want these one gaps in between these four. And what we're going to be doing is we're basically creating a clock that will allow the signal that comes out of this one to send a pulse that comes back and will force whatever items in there to start up the chain. So we start with the comparator right there to tell that there's something in there. Then we need these repeaters to take the signal around, and they're all set on their one tick. Don't need to do any more than that. And there you go. Actually, that part's done. Now we just need to run the signal up the dropper tower. And the way that these things work, and this is why I waited for 1.9, is I wanted to make sure this works. But essentially what happens with these is when you have this sort of a tower, the items actually skip one of the droppers, and so they'll go up to this one, and whether it's actually doing that or not, it's kind of appearing visually. So if I open this one up, I would never see an item in there for some reason. So what we do is you actually power every other one instead of every single dropper. And the added benefit is this actually gets rid of the tick that you get, or the clicking sound, the click, 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 click that comes when these things are on a clock like that. It completely eliminates it. You only hear it once when it first starts, and then after that you don't have to worry about it anymore. So let's start down here on this block. We've got a redstone torch, and then we need to put a block on top of that. Another redstone torch here to carry the signal up. And then put a block there, and now put a redstone torch on that side and on this side. And so this is the base for this, and if you wanted to have this dropper tower go up 100 droppers, this is essentially all you would do is these two blocks over and over again all the way up, making sure that every other one was powered. It's pretty simple and straightforward. So let's go ahead and continue our tower up. Put that on that side, put a block there, oops, put a block on top. We got a redstone torch there, and a redstone, did I miss one? Wait, where did I put that? Doink. And a redstone torch there. And this is what happens when you have a different type, a different number. So since this is an even number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this last block you have to place right there. And because you need to power both of these because that's the last one, or it won't kick it up into your storage. And the end result is that you'll end up with a item in this chest or in this dropper all the time. So that was one of the reasons I had these 16 blocks. Let's go ahead and drop it into this dropper just to test it. And you can see the pulse is working. And you hear that one click, and now it's silent from now on. You won't hear that click anymore. And we can go up here and check in the chest, and there you go. There's our items going up. And there should be, at the end of it, there should be 15 items in there. We'll wait for it. Wait for it. 15. Boom. And there should be one in here, which there is. When you build this one over here, which we'll show you earlier, or later, not earlier, I'll show you that later. there won't be a block left over, and this will have all the items in it. So it's just a finicky part of having an even number of those occur. So now let's go ahead and do the water source. So you place a block on here. So we're going to have water has to be here, lava has to be here in the way that we have it set up. So we will put this down here, take that block out. That was a dummy block, really. Place a redstone dust right here. And so what's happening is we're sending the signal from here down to this dust, which powers this block. Then we can put either a comparator or a repeater here. It's totally up to you. I just use a comparator. That's going to read the fact that this has got a signal, and we'll send it into our dispenser. And there's our water. So water's done. That's all it takes. Simple. Now let's go ahead and do our lava. So we start here with the lava button. The power is coming out of that. We want to have redstone dust here to power this block. That will alternate the power on that torch. So watch that. It turns the torch off, which will continue the signal down. You come off this redstone block 2. Eliminate that one in between. That's a dummy block. Put your redstone dust on there to pick it up. Put your redstone torch on that side. Then we come down here to where the dispenser is. Hit shift. Place it on there. Hit another one there. And then put 2 pieces of dust right there. And that is actually it. Boom. We'll test it. There goes your lava. Lava blade complete. And believe it or not, that's all it takes. It is that simple. You now have a cow cooker. Or sheep, you can put either one of them there. So you just breed your cows, and you could, I think, easily put 100 cows in here. You could probably get up to 128, 130 without any problem. Other than, it might lag your server depending on what you've got going on. But in terms of ease of spamming it, because it's just 2 wide by 1, it's perfectly easy to spam that number of cows. And the other nice thing is if you wanted to off to one side, you could build your automatic underground wheat farm, and you have unlimited steak and mutton if you wanted it. So that's really it. You can stop the video here if you want to, if you've already built it, or if you want to see this other version, I'll show you really quick kind of what the idiosyncrasies are, the differences. It is the exact same size in terms of footprint. The difference is because we don't have that wall up on the backside to put the buttons on, they have to go on the ground. And so really quickly, we've got the water source has been moved to here, which is adjacent to the water. I think it's pretty easy to remember that way. And I have pigs down there because I was testing it. It doesn't work with pigs, I've confirmed. But all this is doing is sending the signal down into the dispenser right there. Works just fine. In this case, we're sending the redstone signal down to the lava. And it's the same technique, more or less, but rather than having it, us having to have a different type of a redstone tower to bring the source down or the signal down, we just start the signal down below here, and that's got the same similar configuration as to the other one. The big difference on this one is we have to have a transparent block between these two below. Otherwise, if this was another regular building block, that would send the signal into the both dispensers at the same time, and we don't want that to happen. We want to have independent control on them. So you have to put a transparent block there. I like glowstone because from the inside, it lights the inside of the killing chamber up, makes it nice and easy. And the other nice thing too that I realized is if I use stairs back to back when I stand here, it makes it a lot easier to spam. There's more area to kind of spam those cows with, and you can hit them a little bit easier. So you could even make that conversion over there if you really wanted to. I like that. It works out really well. So that's it. If this is useful to you and you've enjoyed it, please leave a like, even leave a comment. Let me know what works for you, what doesn't. If you've got problems, I'd appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please feel free to subscribe. I would appreciate it. So thank you all very much. We will see you guys in the next tutorial, hopefully not 7 months from now. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.